Welcome to From the Trenches, success shortcuts revealed by real-world innovators crushing it right now. I'm your host, Scott Hartley, and we're back with another episode packed with actionable strategies from today's most successful entrepreneurs. If you're tired of generic business advice and ready for real cutting-edge tactics that are working right now, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into building automated systems to reduce stress and provide more leisure time while growing your company's revenue and impact. And I can't wait to introduce you to my guest, which is Rita Thomas. Rita is an entrepreneur, photographer, automation specialist, speaker, and Air Force veteran. She is dedicated to empowering other entrepreneurs to fully leverage their assets. Her core passion lies in teaching business automation, aiming to enhance their success while preserving their peace of mind. Affectionately known as your funnel godmother, and if you're watching the video of this or you're seeing a clip of this, you can see her tiara on, but she reveals the systems that saved her sanity and her business, allowing her to reverse 12 years of struggle in only 10 months, when she was finally able to leave her full-time job and run her own business. Rita offers training and automation support to fellow entrepreneurs. Her experience and insights guide others in streamlining their operations, ensuring they achieve their business goals efficiently and effectively. Through her comprehensive approach, Rita helps entrepreneurs transform their business processes, leading to sustained growth and a balanced lifestyle. Rita, I'm so glad to have you on the podcast today.
I am honored to be here, Scott. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I as we were talking a little bit before we started, the recording of this, is like, I knew that I had to have you on the podcast because you and I have collaborated so much over the past year or so. So we are both fellow Keep Certified partners, and we both just love helping entrepreneurs. And I know that you bring a lot to the table. And so I'm excited about what you're going to share with us today.
And I will tell you all, Scott, he really knows his stuff. So during this past year, 18 months, we went through a whole ordeal with email deliverability and Google and Yahoo. And he was such a wonderful resource to my audience. I had him on my show several times over the year, and all of my audience was just so thankful for all the advice that you gave us and kind of the stern talking to that we got.
Yeah, sometimes we have to do that, right? That's our job as coaches and business advisors. So, well, one of the interesting pieces of your biography there was that you reversed 12 years of struggle in just 10 months. So we have to start there. Like, tell us that story.
Let's start there. So I'm a professional photographer, actually.
Okay.
And so I had a full-time job, and I started doing professional photography. And I just struggled for so long to get that business to make enough money so I could quit my job. It was always my goal. Once I figured out, I love this business aspect, I wanted to quit my job and support myself and be the entrepreneur. And I always remembered that phrase, like, you on your deathbed, you only regret the things you didn't do.
Yeah.
And I said, I just have to do this. And photography is especially difficult because it's not the kind of business where I could work late into the evenings if I wanted to. I had to be where the action was happening to take the pictures.
Right.
Yeah. So I didn't have a lot of control over when I worked and got my jobs. So I had decided it was that coming up the end of 2019. So we're entering a new decade. I was also entering a new decade. I was almost turning 60. And I just felt like again, you only regret what you didn't do. I'm not going into another decade working for somebody else, sitting in that cubicle, making someone else's dreams come true. But the way the business, and I didn't really have a business. I was charging people money and I was delivering an excellent product. However, I didn't have any business systems at all. And it was a house of cards just waiting to come down. And it would have.
Kind of like most of us when we start our businesses, right?
I think so. I do. I think so. Because it's really easy to underestimate every single detail that needs to be handled when you start a business. And it's as easy to underestimate as it is really almost impossible to imagine what it's like. So I decided, all right, that's it. Someone had said to me, well, sometimes you just have to jump off the cliff and build your parachute as you're falling down. And I thought, well, that's what I'm just going to have to do. And I terrified everyone that knew me and loved me. And I said, that's what I'm going to do. So I got to talk to a SCORE representative of the retired executives here in town, and he said, you have everything you need to run a successful business. I was like, great, because we only had a 20-minute session. I'm like, what can you do in 20 minutes? But when he said that, I was like, oh, awesome, thanks for your time. But he said, except for you don't have a business running underneath it. You have talent and skill and equipment, and you have referrals, and you have everything you need, but you don't have a business running underneath that. And so he said to me, and it's kind of comical, especially now, because he took authoritative, he didn't even know me from Adam, but he said, you're not allowed to quit your job until you have these things in place. And I accepted that stranger owning, rule over my life. And I said, okay, I will get those things and then I'll quit my job. So first quarter 2020, I'm going to find all these things. And it was like a calendar and an invoicing system and somewhere to make landing pages and an email system and those kind of things that you need to run a business. And I said, okay, I'll find all that stuff. The first quarter 2020, I'm out. Well, what happened in the first quarter of 2020.
Exactly.
It was the middle of March, and the end of March was the end of the quarter. And I had found several systems, like a calendar system and, the email system and all these different ones, but they all had their own separate website. So that meant you got to buy them all separately. You got to learn how to use them all. And then you had to try to force them to work together so you could run your business using all of these resources.
And you think, okay, I can get this done in 3 months. And then you find out like, oh, this is going to take longer, right?
And so much money and so much time. And I felt like this is becoming another job. Like I have the photography, I have my day job. Now I have this as almost another full-time job. So as it happened, I took 3 vacation days from my day job. Thankfully, during the pandemic, I was allowed to keep my day job because I didn't lose it. Thank God. And so, because I lost 100% of my photography business. So during the pandemic, I took 3 days vacation to go on this 3-day coaching seminar with this really powerful coach to learn how to be a better business person. And Keep was one of the sponsors.
Okay.
And so before the second day started, something happened. I had a setback in my business. I'm sure another customer canceled, and it was just the last of my business canceled. And I started crying and crying. And I felt like I didn't even want to get on that training that day. And I was crying and crying. Then I opened my eyes and I looked and I thought, oh my God, my tears are going into the keyboard of my laptop. So now I'm going to ruin my laptop. And I'm like, oh no.
Like, there goes that business idea.
So as it turned out, I did get on the training, and Darren Adams was there, and he was saying, it does this, it does this, it does this. And every single thing that I needed, it was all in one place. And they all worked together, and I didn't have to force it. And
knowing Darren, I'm sure that your spirits were uplifted after that bad morning, right?
It was.
Like, Darren's just a ball of fire. So
I'm telling you, the only thing he didn't do to speak directly to me was to say, Rita, this is for you. Like every single thing I needed. And so I had my debit card out. I was just like, okay. But I was bargaining with myself because I knew how much all that cost. And I thought, this is going to be $500 a month. I mean, you can't get all these things for less than that. And so then he talked some more and he was saying everything. And I said, all right, look, if it's $300 a month, I'm going to buy it today because logically this thing should help me at least make $300 a month. And then I would be even, but maybe then I could sleep at night, So then when at that time he said the cost was $99 a month, and I was like, came out of my chair. Like, stop talking. Now, take my money now. Stop
Right.
talking. So that's when the love affair began. Like, I fell in love with Keep, and it was my lifeline. And so I immediately quadrupled my profits, not just my revenue, but my profits on the very next event that I did. And
Wow.
I saw right away that I could have a much bigger impact on business owners, entrepreneurs, the business world by teaching people how to use software like this more than
Hmm.
taking pictures for them and marketing pictures and doing that. I could impact the world. So
Hmm.
I flipped my business and I became a Keep certified partner. And I still do photography for my automation clients because you need the photography for your landing pages and your email sequences and your website. So you do
Hmm.
need high quality photography. So I
Yeah.
get to do both now.
So, taking that leap and, it's like, okay, am I going to have to choose one or the other? You found a way that you're able to marry both of those and
I
basically
did.
enjoy life with it, right?
Yeah. And from the time I got got certified for Keep certified partner, 10 months later, and I did find some excellent coaching at the same time. So I had a
Hmm.
business coach and I found the automation at the same time. 10 months later, I quit my job after 12 years of trying to do that.
Yeah. It's nice because, in this, the saying goes, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes we have to go through those cycles of our life and cycles of our business. And
Hmm.
sometimes we're just not ready. And,
Yeah.
this week, I've made a decision actually yesterday, met with a coach and I've made a decision for something that's going to transform my business in the next year and beyond. I've tried these things in previous years, but they
Okay.
haven't been successful
Hmm.
because I haven't been ready.
Good
But
point.
now is the time, right? And so
Yeah.
just like for you, you know, that point where you're like, I'm not working in corporate anymore. I'm not going to sit in this cubicle. And then you have to go find some things. I mean,
Yes.
none of us can find the answer right out of the gate. It usually takes some
Right.
exploration, but the cool part about it is that you were open to guidance.
Hmm.
You listened to the score representative, and
Yes.
even though he had hard things to say,
Yeah.
you took that in. It was like, okay, I'm serious. I'm going to follow your advice.
Right. And that's a very important thing about also the coaching that I found and the automation, because you cannot just pay a coach and become successful. And you
Right.
can't just buy software and become organized and have a fulfilling personal and business life. You
Yeah.
have to do what the coach says and be coachable, and you have to use that software and learn it and cry the tears and pull the hair until you figure out how to make that software work in your business. And so, really, nothing about business is easy,
Right.
but it's the hard that we choose because working for someone else is so much harder. It's just
Yeah.
so much harder.
Yeah. So once you found, Keep and you started figuring out like, hey, all of this is working together. I've got, all of this functionality that I need that I had separated out into multiple platforms. Kind of take us through that journey. Like, what did you discover? What challenges did you have? What successes did you have? And
Oh my
how did
gosh.
that bring you to today?
Oh my gosh. So, with my business before I found Keep, I had first all my contacts were in Gmail, which is we preach not to do that. And
Right.
I thought I was pretty hot because I had them in categories. I had them categorized
Uh-huh.
in Gmail, and I was sending out blind copy emails to 50 people at a time and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
you couldn't book an appointment with me without talking to me. You
Yeah.
couldn't pay an invoice unless I went into Excel and printed it on paper and gave it to you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then, and then I did have that little thing that goes in your phone, that swipey thing,
Oh, yeah. The little
square.
card
Yeah,
reader. Uh-huh.
yeah. So here, I thought I was, a little something, but oh, it was amazing to be. And now I have a logical mind. I have a technically oriented mind, and
Hmm.
so it it on, square peg, square hole, straight lines. That's what I like.
Yeah.
So I just dove right into the logic of the database and how the modules fit together and the integration and even advanced things like APIs and building the campaigns. So building a sequence of things that happen once they're triggered, understanding the triggers, it was like I just had come home.
Yeah.
It was almost like my whole life I'd been wandering and doing fun things, and suddenly I felt like, oh, this is so naturally me. And the thing is, all my friends that were, let's say, in that same coaching program or in business, even locally, they are so far from that logical mind thinking, and it's so foreign to them that it takes them so much longer, and their frustration level is so much higher, and fear. They buy the thing because they know they need one. People are telling them you need a database and you need funnels. And so they buy one, but then they don't use it. And then they pay for it over time for years sometimes. And then they start to resent even the company that built the software. And then they're still frustrated because they're still not successful. And this is how the funnel godmother came along. So I was helping a client, and I was building her a sequence of emails and text messages that would happen automatically. And she said, Rita, you just don't even know how many, I'm not talking hours or days, I'm talking weeks or months you have saved me just today in this 1 hour session, because it would take me that long just to figure out how to build this thing. And then I wouldn't even know if I did it right. And it just was, she was so relieved. And she said, it's like you're my fairy god. She said, you're my funnel godmother. And
Nice.
we were on a Zoom just like this, and we both looked at each other like that and left the Zoom room. And I went to, we didn't say a word. She jumped on the internet to see if anybody was using it. I went straight to GoDaddy to see if I could buy it. And then we came back and said, this is where I went. And,
Nice.
and the next day I bought a crown and got a little wand with it.
There you go. So it's always interesting to kind of hear those backstories. How does that moniker, come to be? So
yeah, and I'll tell you, she has a permanent discount with me. Anything she ever wants to buy from me, because it has really it's been so great for my marketing, because people instantly understand the fairy godmother, and so they apply that kindness and nurturing and gentleness to what I do, and that's exactly what I do, and what sets me apart from other Keep certified partners or just other automation experts and strategists, because a lot of people who know how to do what I do, they pretty much don't want the client in the way at all. They're like, just stay out of the way and let me do my thing, because it's so much faster and I can get it done. Right. But I love the hand holding. I'm a big hand holder, and I want to teach them. If they want to know how it works, I will teach them. And just really, really patient and gentle. And it does take longer, but then you know how to use your software after you work with me. And that's what a lot of it, and you just really need that. You need to be able to inspect what you expect. When you hire someone or partner with someone and you don't know what they're doing, you can't know that you're getting the result that you wanted for your investment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really important. And like you mentioned earlier, so many people just don't have that logical mindset that it takes to build out an automation or to build out that funnel, because it's not just a linear process. Nothing goes from point A to point B in a straight line. There's a lot of things that you have to consider when you're building automations, and so to have somebody like you that can, that just comes naturally to you, like it makes life so much easier. So when you need to get things done, hey, Rita, I need this, and you can think through that. But then, like you said, bringing that hand holding, that guidance. And I totally agree, because, in today's digital world, especially, like so many people are running Facebook ads, TikTok ads, and all that type of stuff, and they're outsourcing that to a company. Or SEO is probably the worst. you outsource this to a company, but you know nothing about it. You don't even know what SEO
Right.
stands for. And then you're
Right.
hoping and praying like, well, I hope I'm getting some results from those hundreds of
Right.
dollars a month that I'm spending,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and really the sad part about the SEO is, and marketing in general, they'll say, okay, here's $1,000 for this month, and then by the 10th of the month or something, they're like, what? Nothing's happening. I'm sitting by my phone waiting for it to ring, and it's like, oh, honey, this is weeks or months, sometimes it takes to turn the ship. It's like turning a giant aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
It just takes a long time. It can take a long time. But, and again, I love Alex Hormozy. I've been watching him for a long time now. And he says something that's so spot on, that marketing is a 9-letter word for test.
Yep.
And so we'll try this. And, business owners get frustrated when a marketing person says, let's try this. Oh, well, okay. We'll tweak this tiny little thing and we'll try it again. And then, the business owner is just like,
Yeah, and the interesting, hearing you say that, the interesting part is, if you watch any commercials, you know, we've got a law firm in my area that part of their song that goes along with their commercial, is "We practice law for your peace of mind." Well, the word practice is in there. And you go to a doctor who we consider as a specialist, what are they doing? They say they practice medicine. But
it's,
yet
yeah,
we as marketers, it's like what you're
yeah,
doing for me absolutely has to work right out of the gate.
yeah,
Whereas like
that
these
is
other
so true.
professionals that they get to practice and we don't. Right?
That is so
So
true. I love
but
that.
when we're talking about systems, and we'll get into the resource that you've got available, but what are some of kind of the highlights that when you start working with the client, that as you're helping them build these automated systems that ultimately is going to give them back time in their life and in their
Yeah.
business and help grow that? What are some of the things that people need to look at or consider first as they look at automating and building that system that's going to support them?
Yeah. And usually, almost always, the pain points are around customers, finding them, getting them, nurturing them, keeping them,
Hmm.
and getting them to buy more or refer people to you. So it's all around customers naturally. That's the lifeblood. The money is the lifeblood of the business, and the customer is the holder of the money.
Hmm.
So we right away want to be able to generate more leads, more customers, more happy customers, and which generates more money, at the same time giving the business owner some amount of time, an hour, a half a day, or eventually a day, that they can just not look at their business and it will still generate. And so they can just have some downtime, right?
Hmm.
So we go for quick early wins, and we work on scheduling those, bringing in the leads with the lead magnet and automating that process
Hmm.
and nurturing those leads, because only 3% of the people that you meet or see your offer are ready to buy when they see your offer.
Yeah.
3%. So you need to nurture the 97% until they're ready, until
Hmm.
they are ready and understand the value that you're bringing.
Yeah.
So we can automate a lot of that lead generation and lead nurture process. So that frees you up. And the other thing is, it gets done whether you feel good or feel sick. It gets done whether you are in the office or on a stage somewhere talking to someone, or, wooing a new client. It's still being done. And it's like having an assistant that never takes a day off, doesn't get sick, and doesn't ask for a raise, and just 24/7 just keeps doing their job.
Hmm.
Second thing we want to automate is your appointments, because those leads are going to want to make appointments with you to talk to you
Hmm.
about buying your product. And people should be able to make an appointment with you 24/7 without involving you. Like, you have to sleep sometimes, you want to go and do family events sometimes.
Or have a
And
bunch of back and forth of like, well, I'm available here. Oh, I can't do that, right?
Thursday at 6. No, but I can do 5. No, I can't. How about Friday at 2? Oh my goodness, right? So it eliminates all of that, and both people get to the appointment made at their most convenient time without even having to go through all that.
Hmm.
And then it sends reminders to people that their appointment is coming up. And by the way, you're in control of this. So it's not going to pound them with too many reminders
Hmm.
or say something dry and robotic to them, you're in total control of what's being said and how often.
Yeah.
But we know that a person who gets a reminder is 80% more likely to show up for their appointment. More than one reminder sometimes, but it skyrockets your show rate. So if they show up to the call, you have a much better chance of actually selling them something or learning something about them that you can help.
Yeah.
So we automate your lead generation and nurture, and we automate your appointments. And through that process, then we're writing you some emails, of course. And by the way, Scott does the copywriting. And if you're saying, I don't really know what copywriting is, copy is words that you use to entice someone to take some kind of action. And typically we think of buying something, but sometimes it's a download something. But Scott is an expert at writing the words that go inside the emails and on the landing pages. That's what copywriting is. Am I right? Did I say it right?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah, okay.
exactly. I mean, copywriting is just simply communicating with your people, through whatever media that they're, attached to at that time.
Yeah. And I used to, before I knew how to say it, I used to mix up copywriting and content,
Yeah.
copy and content. And the way I think about content is that's stuff I put out into the world about me and my business and what I do and how I serve. That's content.
Mm-hmm.
And copy is directed at my audience to help them figure out if they need to work with me or not.
Yeah.
So, so that's what goes inside the emails. And the thing I love about it is, picture this. So let's say you get 10 new leads a month. We'll make it easy. You get 10 new leads a month, and they're hot leads because they reacted to something specific that you put out there only for those people to react to. So you get 10 new leads this month, and they all each came in like 2 each week. So one's getting the first email, and then 2 are getting this email, and then 2 more come in. So they're getting this email. Meanwhile, these guys are getting this email, and then they get a text, and then 2 more come in. So they start here, and your brain just would go and overload, and smoke would come out your ears if you tried to keep track of who was supposed to get which email on which day and which text message.
Mm-hmm.
So you write them all ahead of time, you set them up, and people enter the process as they become aware of you, and then they move through this process automatically, and you don't have to manage all that until they say, oh yeah, I'm really interested, I want to have an appointment, I want to talk about this with you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little button inside the email, and they click it, and then they can schedule a time with you. And that's how you fill your calendar with appointments. And all of that happens automatically once we get it set up. And so that's part of a funnel.
Yeah.
That's part of a funnel.
Yeah. And, all of that together, you make it sound so simple. But so many businesses are missing pieces of that puzzle, right?
Yes.
And we get frustrated because it's like, man, if I just had 3 more hours in the week, if I didn't have to miss my, my kids' soccer practice or, whatever that it is. We have all of these things that it's like, if we just invest the time to build these things that we need in our business, or work with somebody like you that's like, hey, I can do the bulk of the work for you. We just meet periodically and, kind of plan things out. If we take the time to build it, then we can reap the rewards pretty quickly soon thereafter.
Over and over exponentially.
Yeah, it's not
and
just,
by the way,
one return.
A lot of the systems, I know Keep does it, a lot of the systems that you may already have, you can just copy that one, and the whole thing is there, make some changes, and then you have another one. You don't have to start from scratch every time generally. And we know how to do those kind of things and make life even easier for you.
Exactly. So, well, Rita, I really appreciate you being here today. I know that you've got a free resource that people can grab. Can you describe what that is and how that's going to help them and where they can get it at?
This is a funnel success checklist. So it's all the things that you need to consider and look at before you sit down and say, I'm going to build a funnel or I'm going to write a funnel. And so if you're thinking of working with somebody like me, then you get the answers to all these questions first, or consider them and look at what's on this checklist. You're going to be in a great position to find the right person. And by the way, make sure you ask a lot of questions about those things, because that's going to help you vet that person and see if they are just dabbling in funnels, or if they really, really know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So where can somebody go to grab that funnel success checklist?
All right. So it is a tiny URL, and I have that right here. So it's https://tinyurl.com, and then one more slash, and it's all lowercase, free funnel checklist. So it's tinyurl.com and then a slash, free funnel checklist, all lowercase.
Super simple. Awesome. Well, Rita, I really appreciate you being here today and just kind of sharing your story with us. Some things that I didn't even know, even though we've known each other for a while. And then just kind of tying into is like, how can we really leverage funnels in our business so that we can grow? So that's all for today's episode of From the Trenches. Make sure that you go download the funnel success checklist at tinyurl.com/free funnel checklist. And if you're not in a place where you can write this down, we'll put the link in the show notes so you can just go back there and click on it and take you right to it. And if you're looking to supercharge your email marketing, check out my book, Hit the Inbox, at hittheinboxbook.com. It's packed with 76 pages of strategies to get your emails landing in inboxes and driving sales. Thanks for tuning in today. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite platform. It helps us reach more entrepreneurs like you. And until next time, keep crushing it in the trenches.